Welcome to Fresh Off the Boat. My name is Arjun Seth, and I run EdBrand, which is an education consulting firm based in New Delhi and Gurgaon in India. Today's guest for our podcast is Udisha Sharma, a student I've known when she was at Sri Ram School, Aravali in 2016, and then she graduated and went to Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. Disha, I know you've completed 3 full years, and then you also did a semester in the University of Oxford. So it'll be fun to sort of hear what your journey's been like. So welcome, and my
Thank
first
you.
question to you, Disha, is how was it like settling in at Smith College?
I think initially, as everyone is really nervous and anxious in the beginning, even I was like wondering whether I'll be able to fit in or not. But I think the community at Smith has been very warm and welcoming. And because it's a smaller college, it's easier to get to know people. And people are genuinely interested in asking questions and listening to you and talking to you. And the orientation period was the time where I actually felt that is a place that's the right fit for me because of the people that I spoke to, the professors that I spoke to, and it's. I still wouldn't say that I have completely settled in, but it's not as scary as it was in the beginning because I've found a community that really cares for me.
Fantastic. So, how did you start sort of sampling things there in terms of academic choices that you had to make, or figuring out your routine, and also, also other things that you did beyond academics?
So I think the first semester I mainly took things that I was interested in, and I took like a bunch of really different classes. Because at a liberal arts college, you don't really have to just study what's in your major. You can pretty much take whatever you want. So I experimented a lot, and I spoke to different professors in different departments, even when I wasn't taking classes with them, just so that I can have an idea of what the departments offer. And there are a lot of in terms of co-curriculars and organizations on campus, I would attend every org fair that would be there. Every org would have their meet and greet. I would just land up, even in orgs that I didn't know that much about. I went to, for example, the Korean Society's mixer. I didn't even know anything about it, but I would just land up, and it was nice to sort of see things that I didn't know that I would get an interest in, and I did those things. And in terms of academics, I think talking to professors really helped, and attending all the introductions to our majors talks also helps. And just mixing and matching a lot of classes exposed me to a lot of different subjects that I didn't think I was interested in. I wasn't going to do math or econ when I went into Smith. I was pretty clear that I'll do physics. But I took those classes and I spoke to those professors and I thought it was really interesting. So I switched.
Fantastic. So I think that's the question I actually had set for next was how is it like to do a econ major? What are the requirements, and in particularly in your case, what have you discovered as the focus that you'd want to move towards, and then why add a math major to the mix?
So for econ, obviously there are certain core things that everyone studies, like macro, micro, all of those basic principles. But other than that, taken a behavioral economics class at Smith, which I found to be very interesting. It's a very like upcoming field. It's kind of like it merges a little bit of psychology with econ, and it talks about why consumers make the decisions that they make, which I thought was really interesting. And another area of econ that has is very popular at Smith in particular also is just inequality and policy alternatives, and talking about how we can create policies that are more equal environmentally, or just can bring about social change. So I think all of that has been something that I'm very interested in as well. Why I chose to mix math with this was because a lot of econ is needs to be backed by sort of quantitative concepts, and a lot of econ is about stats. So anytime you're writing a research paper, anytime you're reading a research paper, it'll have a very strong statistical component to it. And to be able to understand those things and sort of back up your theories, it's very good to have this sort of quantitative basis to actually test in the economy what you feel is a valid theory.
So it definitely seems that you've got a path sorted out in some sense. You use data science as a tool to understand economics? And what are the kind of projects you worked on or are currently working on? What is it in the world that, of course, the economy is in shambles in this era, but what is it that gets you thinking of applying what you've learned currently?
So we did a few studies where I wasn't directly a part of them, but I knew the people who were doing them, and they were like asking for help as well. Where we spoke about how different how if things like how gender works out in society, in the economy, and it was about how the economy would be sort of different if there were more women CEOs, for example. And I think that applying that in a country like India, I knew some of my friends who were seniors who tried to do that. Applying that model in India, we actually had like pretty interesting results about how, and again, this brings in a little bit of behavioral economics also, about how fundamentally like women make different decisions and that would have different implications for the economy. So that was one thing that I was indirectly a part of that I was really interested in because I thought that given Indian society, it had very interesting applications.
Great. So touching upon this further a little bit, women in leadership, all women's college, which is also welcoming in the sense it's been labeled as say single gender sort of orientation, but there's lots more to that meaning. What is it that you understand of being a Smithy?
I think that initially when I had gone into Smith, I hadn't even thought about the fact that it's an all-women's college. It was just a good school, which is why I had applied. But now I am so thankful that it is the way that it is, because I think that I have met so many different women from so many different parts of the world who have really gone through such like they just have the most exceptional stories and they've gone through such adversities to be where they are today. And I think that at a women's college, I personally feel that you do tend to speak up more and you do tend to like people listen more, you learn a lot more because you know that it's a space where you're not going to be judged as much. And you know it's a space where people are always going to look out for you. And I think that that has really shaped me into who I am today. I coming from, as I said, like India and even at a school like Shriram, it's so radically different to the kind of the space and the vibe and the environment that there is there. And people are always like having healthy debates and they're always asking questions and they're always sharing experiences. And I think that that makes a lot of difference in your confidence and how self-assured you are and how just how broad your outlook is in general. And I think everybody over there is very liberal and they talk about what's going on in the world today, what it means for us as women. And I've learned so much about, for example, the LGBTQ community that I didn't know about. I learned so much about my own rights as a woman. And I think that it really made me into not just a more confident person, but a more confident woman.
Wonderful. If you could elaborate more on the ethos of making students at Smith strong as human beings and being able to provide, and as an institution being able to provide resources, what is it that you think they do well?
I think that there is a lot of participation of the staff and the faculty in what the students are doing. And I think that genuinely makes you feel that the people at the college are interested in what you're doing. So, for example, like all of the orgs, professors, or people who are working, like the staff at Smith, will actually come and attend those meetings. They'll come and attend those events that you host, which is great. Like our college president comes and attends almost all of the cultural events that are, for example, my org, which is the South Asian org, hosts. So it's great to see faculty turning up. People in the city of Northampton are also very supportive. They always come and like attend our events and attend our talks. When we have seniors presenting their thesis, you'll have people from Northampton coming and listening to that as well. So I think that the first thing that Smith does really well is really integrate the staff and faculty with the student orgs and what the students are doing in general. It's really easy to start things at Smith, which also helps if you have an like if there is an organization that you feel very strongly about, it doesn't exist. For example, let's say I want to start a table tennis group, something like that. I could literally just like get 2-3 people, sign it, start it, and it will be an org the next day. And Smith will advertise it for me. They'll give me the resources that I need to sort of contact, for example, the other 5 colleges in the consortium and get more people to participate. So I think it's easy to start things that haven't been started, and people are really accepting and welcoming of that. And then there are a lot of fairs that happen, a lot of occasions where you can sort of see what all is happening on campus. We do a very good job of advertising it. We have newsletters. Every house would have its own newsletter. Every org has its own newsletter, and it's just a lot of advertising. So at no point are you like, oh no, I didn't even know that this was happening on campus. Because they do a very good job of telling you exactly what all is happening. And if what you want isn't happening, then it's very easy to just start off.
Fantastic. Definitely interesting. So you mentioned about the South Asian Students Organization. What is it that got you excited to do something about it? What is your current role? And what are the other activities that you are currently part of or were part of?
Mm-hmm. So South Asian org initially it was already an existing org on campus, and I think in the beginning why I joined it was because I wanted like a certain like connection to my home and to my culture and just a place where I felt more like home. And I have been the publicity chair, the conference chair. We keep changing roles, but everyone pretty much just does everything. And so I was publicity chair, social chair, conference chair. And what we do is we have obviously the cultural events that every org does. We do a lot of fundraisers. We do a lot of we try to find funding for conferences that happen in the area. So when we have like the India Harvard conference or we have the Soch conference that happens in Colombia, we try to arrange funding for it, try to get as many people as we can to go to it for free. We have discussions in our houses with faculty members. We have movie screenings. We call ex-Smithies or Smithies from the five college or other people from the five colleges to come and talk about important global issues that affect the South Asian community. We did this really interesting thing about anti-blackness and South Asia, which was very interesting. We had one professor from every one of the five colleges talk about how anti-blackness, the history of anti-blackness in South Asia. And I think given the current situations, having conversations like these is all the more important, and having them in like a safe space, like, Unity org or a cultural org just makes it easier for you to voice yourself without feeling like, you're going to get judged for it.
Fantastic. So I also noticed that you were a resident assistant, or you still are officially.
Still am.
Okay.
Yes.
So how does one apply to become a resident assistant? What are the benefits and what are the responsibilities?
So at Smith, the system is slightly different because we don't have dorms, we have houses, and those houses are very different from one another, and they have their own like they're really like close knit community. So it's sort of like a big family living together. How you apply? So I think there will be like as I said, org fairs where they'll advertise or Res Life and like this is what we do, this is what we don't do, and there are online applications. We write essays, you can ask people in Res Life who you know or your professors to write in letters of recommendation to you. It's actually quite comprehensive, which I didn't know. And at Smith, you have house community advisors, is what we like to call it, as opposed to just RAs. So it's more of a sort of community building role than in other colleges. So there are online applications and there are two rounds of interviews. One is like a 1 hour interview with the Red Light staff, and one is a group interview which happens over like a weekend where you interact with different groups and they give you different tasks. Like they'll ask you. So what we do is that we have 4 core values in residence life. So we have to organize events in our house or programs as we call it for like each particular value. So one would be community, one would be learning, one would be social justice, things like that. And at an interview, they would ask you like what is one social justice topic you're really passionate about? How would you create more awareness about it in your house? What are the things that you would do that are different from other RAs? So I think that is the kind of stuff that we generally focus on.
Hello. Welcome back. So, Udisha, so I had this question about your summer at the University of Oxford in the UK. One is, of course, how is it like choosing to go for summer school? And it's not summer, actually, it's a full semester.
Semester abroad, yeah.
It's a semester abroad. And how was it like that you landed this opportunity? And what do you have to do to apply? And how was the experience there?
So I think in most colleges you have the option to study abroad for a semester or 2 semesters. And our college also gave us this opportunity. And what's great about the way that Smith does it is that they give you, like if, for example, you have financial aid on campus, that will continue when you apply abroad. So I think that was a really good thing that they did to make it more accessible for students. So there's an application that Oxford has, which anyone can fill. It's the same application, which has essays and you attach your academic work and you have letters of recommendation, much like a college application. And then we have another component in which you have to like write an essay about how studying abroad will supplement your education at Smith, and that's something that Smith approves. So you need to get approval from Smith, and you need to have obviously Oxford accept your application. And it was a very comprehensive process. The reason why I decided that I wanted to apply was because I thought that since I'm spending almost 4 years at Smith, it would be nice to have some sort of change in a completely different institution. I've always wanted to study at, I mean, who doesn't want to study at Oxford? And I think that the majors that I had, it was easy for me to take classes abroad and have them count towards my major back at Smith. So it didn't disrupt my academic schedule at all, which is why I thought of applying. And I really wanted to study in the UK. And it was, I think, one of the best experiences that I have had so far. It was completely different from Smith because the entire town is just the university. There are so many students. There were, it, it was pretty scary initially, but I think that they just have so many resources and so many libraries and so many Nobel Prize winners who's coming and giving speeches every day. You spot one in the dining hall. It's kind of overwhelming, but I think that it was a very good experience for me academically. because they have these tutorial style of classes where you have one-on-one classes with your tutor. So I have not, like, I thought that at Smith it was like a lot of one-to-one happening, but this was a whole other level because you had like 2 hours with a tutor every week and you just sit and discuss stuff. And a lot of your grading is based on how good you are at having academic discussions and explaining your work and talking about it. And we used to talk about math, which was not something I thought that I could do, but it was a very interesting way of approaching math and like the way classes are held in general. Because there was a lot more discussion and there was a lot more of like writing and essays and debating than at Smith. So it was definitely a fantastic experience.
That's wonderful. I think you've summed it up well. My actually next question was about socially how it was very different, but the way you described it about being a whole university town and seeing students everywhere. But what are the other things that you feel a university like Oxford added to your way of looking at life, learning, beyond what you've already mentioned?
Mm-hmm. So, beyond what I've already mentioned, what Oxford really taught me, surprisingly enough, was how to have a better work-life balance, which is not something that I was expecting. I think it's Smith because everyone is very academically inclined, which is a great thing. Like you have a lot of motivation to like do your work. But I think at Oxford, people they actually like it's a lot of work hard and party harder sort of thing happening. And they you find people studying in the libraries the entire day, and then when they actually go out to events and all, they don't talk about it, and they're like, it's a lot of, I would say, I think compensating for how much you study during the day that was happening over there. So I think that I did have a better work-life balance there. It's also a very historically rich town, and I think that it's great to have like these many museums and libraries and cafes, and you're not just sitting in a library and studying the entire day. Every day you have like a new place to go to. So I think that was great. The town has really integrated into the university. It's basically just students everywhere, which is great to see. It's close to London, so you can like travel a lot. I think there are a lot of opportunities to just supplement your academics with a lot of other stuff, whether it's travel or whether it's social situations or it's just getting to know another city and another country. They do a really good job of that. And what else? I think yeah,
I think you summed it
that's
up pretty
mostly
well.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super. I was looking through your profile, and you mentioned that you have landed an internship with Credit Suisse. And where was it supposed to be? And what were you supposed to be doing? And now, of course, you're back home in Gurgaon. What exactly are you going to be doing with them?
So I had applied for, I wanted to work, I had applied for multiple roles at Credit Suisse, and the one that I eventually ended up getting was internal auditing. I don't know that much about internal auditing as of now because it's not, because at liberal arts college, they don't teach you that much about business and finance. So it's basically just assessing the different kinds of risks that a company faces and how to like minimize them based on your own internal policies and the way that you carry out things. So that's why it's internal audit, not external audit. And what I did was there are a lot of internship platforms that like like advertises, and I think a lot of people already know about them, like things like Handshake and all, where you can apply for internships. So I had applied for it, and there were multiple interviews, tests, and all of that. And then eventually I got it. Now they've converted it to be remote. Otherwise, it was going to happen in New York City. They have an office in Madison Avenue, and now it's all online. And they're trying to make it work for students who are not in the US, although that can be a little tricky because they have a lot of fingerprinting and all of that process that happens in the US. So I'm hoping that they are able to work something out for me, even though I'm not in the US. And if that happens, then I'll have a 7 weeks internship with a specific team of 4 or 5 people. I'll be working on projects with them. I'll be looking at data from the company and trying to make presentations and then present it to the global heads of internal audit at the end of the internship.
I love your optimism. I think the way you you're sort of dealing with the situation, and even credit to Credit Suisse if they're sort of figuring out how to retain interns and keep them engaged. So, is that the direction you're headed? Like more consulting and or you're not sure?
I definitely want to do something in finance. I don't know if I would want to necessarily get into corporate functions or try like do investment banking. Because if I want to do investment banking, then I have to be 100% sure. That's like a big commitment in terms of like what I want to do. But definitely somewhere in finance, I want to work for an investment bank. Whether I do something like risk analysis or management consulting, or I do something like investment banking, it's definitely finance based.
Okay, super. In fact, I've been interviewing some of our past students, and they have walked your path. So they're probably, a decade ahead in terms of where their professional careers are. Happy to connect you with them, and you can always have conversations. The other thing which I wanted to, have audience members get to know you a little better. So I'm going to switch gears and ask a few rapid fire questions. So if you were to look back and say in high school or college, at both Smith and at the University of Oxford, what embarrassing moments, disappointments, failures can you reflect upon? And what were the learnings from those incidents?
I think in terms of embarrassing moments, it's a lot of mm, I guess I try to participate in a lot of things that I'm not really good at. And most of the times I think that people will be very encouraging. That does not always happen. Like I'll try out for like a lot of sports and I've embarrassed myself a lot in terms of like I would go and try out for long jump and triple jump at school. I am not at all like I wouldn't even reach the stand pit that you're supposed to like reach when you do these jumps. There's like a line and you're supposed to reach the stand pit. I wouldn't even reach there because obviously my height doesn't help me that much. And I think the most embarrassing thing was trying out for sports, and that's not really my thing. But I would still do it because like why not? Like
So that
what's
was high
there to
school.
lose?
But what
That
about
was high
college?
school.
Failure
College,
or disappointments?
I think just culturally, college is very different from India, obviously, and just figuring out things like for the entire first week, I couldn't figure out how to get my shower to like get turned on, which is because it's just how do you get it to be hot? How do you do this? And asking my RA stupid questions like, oh, I locked myself from the outside. Now what do I do? Because there, if you lock yourself, you call campus police. And the amount of times I have like locked myself and have to call campus police, like because you're not really calling the police if you locked yourself out. So if you go to the shower and you're like in your towel and you're calling the campus police, it can get really embarrassing. So I think stupid things like that probably.
Okay, sure. And now you are a resident assistant, so I guess
Now
some
it's
of
much
these
better because now I call people when other people do embarrassing things like this.
super fine. And some sort of advice that many of our listeners would be seeking is what do you think worked in your whole college application journey? And
I
what is it that you think in retrospect you should have done or you shouldn't have done?
I think what really worked for me was I in your college applications, whether it's your essays or whether it's just in general how you choose to approach it. I think in interviews and all, being yourself is really important because if you're trying to like sort of be this ideal candidate that colleges are looking out for, who's done a little bit of everything, I don't think that that really works. I think showing interest in like one thing, but over the years, like showing continued passion towards one thing over the years is what they appreciate more than doing like a little bit of everything. Like I worked a lot with like differently able children because that's what my mom does, and I worked with it throughout the year. So I think I try to demonstrate stuff that I really cared about, so that when I'm asked about it in interviews, I talk about it from experience and a lot of genuine concern about those things. So I think being yourself and not trying to do everything, but genuinely trying to make a difference in one or two things that you really care about helps. And what I wish at interviews I was slightly more confident than I was at that point. I was a little scared, a little nervous, and I was like, oh, what is this great person who's from this Ivy League college going to think about me? They're also people at the end of the day, and I think that even if you say something that you didn't plan, or you say something stupid, or you say something that you know, I think don't be too hard on yourself because they're looking for human beings who like make mistakes and have flaws. So it's totally fine even if things don't go as they plan. And even if you don't get into a college which is your like your dream college, you'll find your place and you'll find Like I didn't even think about going to like I didn't think that Smith would do such great things for me that it did. And I think eventually people find their place and are happy where they are.
Fantastic. It was so good reconnecting with you, Disha, and looking forward to following your success in the future. We will have a few
Thank
panels
you.
announced soon, and I'm glad that you're in the same time zone, at least for the time being. There's some plus, someone has to benefit from you being here. And happy to invite you for that. So, yes, looking forward to reconnecting again. Thanks.
Thank you.